Hello guys, and today I'm going to say subscribe to video 10,000 times. Let's begin. So I'm just gonna click on this, and yeah, 10,000 times. Now, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, come on, it's already so day. Okay, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 100, okay. This will take time, okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, oops, okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god, I had to do it to 10,000. Really? Alright, let's do this. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Come on. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. What am I saying? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 250. Okay. No one is even gonna watch this, so yeah, let's just continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Imagine saying this 100 times, 100 times, like Facebook. How did you do that? Alright. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to really subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 400 times and look. Non-stop. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 It will be so much easier if I said PewDiePie. But I had to subscribe to PewDiePie, so there you go. Subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Please subscribe to PewDiePie. 500 times, 9,500 more. Please. Kill myself. Oh. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh my god. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Let me breathe. So do. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Oh my god, this sucks. Oh my god. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. It's very nice. Oh yeah, my controller just fell off, but oh well. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. I think that's for the controller. Okay, oh. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. I need to eat, please. Why did not I eat? Really? Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Why did not I change to 1000? No, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, okay, my god, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Soon 1000. Really? More nice. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Why am I doing this? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to this. There's no break here. So just subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Actually, no, I'm just gonna do this like 9 times to then you're done. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Actually, if you think about it, it's not that hard to do, say, subscribe to do like this. Think about the time, so let's just do it. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. I'm already so tired. I've said like 1,100 now. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god, why am I swearing? I'm sweating. Really? Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay, what the hell? Why am I whispering? Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. I can't even click anymore. I mean, come on, dude. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. That's how it picks. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. I mean, I hope this video gets, yeah, a bit famous or something. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to No Life First. Oh, sorry. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Make sure to subscribe to me too. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. All of them. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie, PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Well, yeah, this is so fun. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. This is so calm. This is gonna be fast. 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 Oh. This is gonna be fast. 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 Subscribe to Jaha. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie. Ja, det vill vara så ska 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 det vill vara. Thank you so much for this. Damn. Så ska det vill vara så ska det vill vara så ska det vara så ska det vill 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 vara. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Damn. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Pewdiepie, subscribe to 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 Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Who's going to be the price? Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 2,000. 8,000 to go. Let's go. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, and subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 2 times 2 under 1. Really? Let's get the best, 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 let's get the best. Let's get the best, let's get the best, let's get the best, let's get the best, let's get the best. Let's get the best, 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 let's get the best subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 I can't give up. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, PewDiePie. It will be so much easier if you have PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Sound pretty awesome. Actually. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 yeah, subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 3000, okay, okay, okay. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe, subscribe, subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oops, oops. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Ouais, spectateur. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Oh, I speak. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Det var sound problem. Ja, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas, jusqu'à tout bas. Jusqu'à tout bas, 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 jusqu'à tout bas. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Let's do this, guys. 4,000. It's all no, okay, not yet, but subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Now this video is like 1 hour, okay? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Guys, you had to subscribe to me and PewDiePie. I'm doing this for everyone. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. It said that there's no actually you can go over 1,000, but that is like 10 times now to 1,000. So yeah, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oops. I'm gonna double click. Okay, subscribe to all guys. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie, subscribe. I can't click on more. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, come on. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. I just want to click subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Why did I make it? Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 4,000. Here we go. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Please send them to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, please, subscribe to PewDiePie. No, I won't give up. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. I won't give up. You have to be serious. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Damn. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. What am I even saying? Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. When we hit 5,000, we have to go 5,000 more. Really? It took me like 2 hours, right? Come on. Subscribe, PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe. Oh, come on, I want to eat something. Damn it. I have to do this. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. There we go. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Okay. Maybe let me change that. There we go. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Imagine me not recording this. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. 800, 4,800. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Oh, it was so much easier than step Pewdiepie. I mean, come on. Subscribe to Pewdiepie is a line. Sentence. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Why did not I say Powerhouse? And I have to do Powerhouse some more, but soon. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Have you fun, man? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 5,000 to go. Oh my god, this is so fun, man. Wow. Okay, let's continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god, I had to pee. Oh my god, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. It would be so nice when it's over, like, oh my god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, what? Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie, subscribe. I can't believe there was to be saying 1,000 times PewDiePie. Come on, what? That's so canny. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. My music, let me fix my set. There you go. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 really? Come on, subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I just want to be done with this. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh well, but at least I'm more than 5,000. That's good. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. It takes so much time to get at least 100. And here am I, 5,600. PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 please subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, I missed some. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Almost 6,000 months. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 6,000, 4,000 to go. Almost there. Not okay. Not. Oh no, actually not. Let's continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Actually, I had a PewDiePie merged, so yeah, this gives me the ultimate power. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Right. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Very nice. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Why I'm big, sometimes subscribe because I was taking like a fast break, then yeah, can say subscribe to Pewdiepie again before. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Damn it. At P, dude. Oh well, I'm coming back soon. Or not. I had to continue. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. But I mean, sorry guys, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Come on. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. This is so, oh my god. Damn, man, come on. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Please help me. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, there we go, 10,000. Alright, I'm coming back. I start to pee fast. Back again. 3,000 to go. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. So PewDiePie, PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. The sound has some problems, by the way. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. I'm saying so bad. I'm saying subscribe to PewDiePie so bad. I apologize for that. Apologize for that. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay, so subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 8,000. 2,000 more? Actually, that's not so much, no. Let's go. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. I'm forgetting now. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. That's my share. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Pewdiepie. I can't say it anymore. I want to say it fast, so yeah. Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Oh my! Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Bye. Subscribe to Pewdiepie. 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 Oh, it's subscribe to PewDiePie. Take 5. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 9,000, 9,000, 1,000 more, come on, we can do it actually. Let's do it fast too. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. 900 more than 10,000. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. No, I can't take a break here. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe, subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, 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 subscribe to Pewdiepie. Yeah. Subscribe to Pewdiepie, subscribe to Pewdiepie. I can't. Come on, we are there, Tones. We are almost there. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to subscribe to subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to it. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Damn, it gets even worse now. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. I won't give up. I won't give up. I won't give up. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. 500, 500 more, done. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. That sound again. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Right, that exists on. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh my god. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie, subscribe to 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 PewDiePie. Subscribe to PewDiePie, 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 subscribe to PewDiePie. Yeah, 10,000. I counted it, everything, 10,000. Oh, that took time. So yeah, now I'm gonna eat. I'm so hungry right now. So yeah, and remember to subscribe to me, and yeah, PewDiePie, like I said, subscribe to PewDiePie. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.